What's up? What's up? Welcome back. Triple B's coming at you with another real estate video. Today, I actually wanted to take a deeper dive into the world of home inspection reports and actually get a fairly good understanding of how to utilize that inspection report once you're under contract and you've been handed it from a home inspector. I think the biggest issue or misconception of a report is how to actually interpret the information that you've been given by the home inspector and use it not only to your advantage, but to the benefit of all parties to make sure that nobody wants to walk away from the contract. Because if you're getting a home inspection, most likely you're under contract to purchase a property. So as an investor or a conventional buyer, you want to make sure that not only are you getting the best bang for your buck based on that home inspection report, but also understanding what you're truly buying in relation to what the home inspector has translated and found for you. And I think the biggest problem with these reports is not only are they super long, but they're also super confusing to most people out there. I'm gonna jump on the computer with you guys, open up an actual inspection report, and go through it so you understand what you're looking at and how to translate the home inspector language, so to speak, so you understand, if you're the realtor, how to help your buyer in the best way using this report, and if you're an investor, how to make sure your realtor interprets it with you and doesn't defeat the purpose, so to speak, of how to purchase this property and if it should actually be purchased, if you should spend your money on it. It's not as hard as you think. They are long. I'm going to show you how to get through it and basically cliff note it so you understand what the main points are, the important things to truly look at. Home inspectors are supposed to be nitpicky if they're good. They're going to find every little thing they can possibly find, not only to make you feel like you've spent your money correctly, but also to make sure that nothing can come back on them as far as what they missed. They're trying to help you out as best they can. The one misnomer with home inspectors is they all know all this stuff about construction. The problem in most states is they're not required to be licensed or certified. And I'm going to actually tell you right now, if you don't have a licensed or certified home inspector, I would be really wary of hiring them for any of your properties. They need to have a construction background. Most, or I would say at least a lot of these home inspectors do not. They go through a 3-week training program, and a lot of the actual stuff that needs to be seen is actually missed, because if you don't know what to look for, i.e. a home inspector that doesn't have a construction background, then you're not going to be able to pull it up and show the potential buyer things that could be possible issues with the home, or things to check on before you make the purchase or negotiate with the seller in order to get the best possible price. Keep that in mind. Something really important to think about as you dive into the real estate world and you use these in home inspections and these home inspection reports to your advantage. So without further ado, let's get on the computer. Okay, so here we are. We have a sample home inspection report. This is an older one, but I thought it was kind of a more interesting one to take a look at. So we're going to go back in the day here, 2011. So front page of the inspection report, pretty self-explanatory. Van Gogh inspections. Don't remember these guys at all, but doesn't matter. So all the inspector information is on here. So if you need to contact them, obviously you have all that information. One thing to keep in mind is a lot of times, especially nowadays, as weird as it is, the buyers certainly can go with the home inspector and walk the inspection. I would recommend maybe not showing up immediately upon arrival of the inspector, because home inspections can take 2 to 3 hours. But you want to be there for at least half of it, and certainly there at the end for the home inspector to recap everything to you and your buyers, or to you if you're the investor buying the property. It helps to kind of walk along with them and ask questions as they go, and most inspectors are actually putting together some of the report as they're running through the property. So you want to be there for at least half of it, like I said. I wouldn't be there for the whole thing, because some of the stuff that he's looking at you may not even understand, and it certainly can kind of slow down the process, which you don't want to do at the beginning. So Be there for some, but not all is the lesson there, and make sure you're there at the end for the recap for sure. So most of these reports are broken down sequentially in the same way, and after you go through like the kind of title page and all that stuff, the information here, they're going to have a summary of what they've found in here. Most of these software programs for these reports are very similar. Running through the summary is kind of a good idea. Some of this stuff actually has to do with what they found. If you can see in here, a lot of this just talks about building codes. If they're good inspectors, they will talk about any sort of local building codes. They have to be careful about quoting codes in the report because they are not inspectors licensed by the municipality. They are simply home inspectors. I want to say home inspectors because that's never mind, inside joke. Anyway, but they will say that they're not going to include checking for compliance with those building codes. That was done when the house was built. That was done when any remodel work was done with permits that were pulled. One thing you should do on the side with you and your realtor is make sure that there was work done or advertised on the listing and you feel like it should have been permitted, call the municipality that it's in and find out if they pulled permits for the work. That's a good thing to know. It's certainly an important thing to have in your back pocket when it comes time to negotiate and close this deal. So make sure you figure out if there's been recent work done and if they've done anything to the home while they were living there, they being the sellers. And it's really important that they pull permits if the permits were needed to be pulled. So the home inspector is not going to do any of that work for you. You need to do it yourself. And they're, like I said, they're not going to quote any building codes in these reports for risk of liability to them. So, like we talked about before, we inspect a home from the outside in and the top down. Top, roofing, okay? Any good inspector is going to run a report this way. So you want to start the same way you would be looking at it. And in previous videos, that's what I talk about. If you haven't seen those, go back and watch those videos on how to do your own inspections and how to come up with ARVs on these homes, because part of the ARV is deciding what needs to be done to the home, and that ARV is determined and then sized up against the construction costs on the remodel if you're going to do a flip. And if those two things don't coincide, don't buy the property, as we've talked about before. Okay, so through these reports, they're going to talk about outside in, top down, partial flat roof, which had a polyurethane foam. What the heck is polyurethane? It's just basically spray foam, and you guys have heard about spray foam, okay? It's a product that expands upon being sprayed out of some sort of device like a gun, like insulation can be done, and it's a liquid that ends up being a solid. It'll expand and dry, and that's what most insulations that you hear of spray foam, that's what they are. This happened to be on a flat roof, so that's an older roof, and not something that I'd recommend, but we're not going to really get into that because that is the roof itself. The polyurethane roof had some work done on it, but it was not new. Okay, ponding. Here's a key word. You want to look for things on the outside in and top down that have to do with water management and structure, okay? So with roofs, most of the time we're concerned with water management. If the roof leaks, everything inside gets wet, that's bad, okay? Ponding has to do with water. You've heard of a pond where ducks go swimming? Ponding means water that's pooling, okay? If you see this marked, you want to start reading through this. Okay, he talked about there was minor damage to elastomeric coating, okay, which is just basically the coating that goes on top of his polyurethane. You don't even have to know this word. You just want to know minor damage, okay? Ponding, minor damage. You see these two things, and it says shortened life expectancy of materials. Sorry, I can't talk today. That means what he put here, further evaluation by a licensed roofer. And because it's a flat roof, make sure that roofer that comes out to look at it to give you his opinion is his depth of breadth is in flat roofing, meaning he is an expert in the flat roof construction, okay? You got to ask those questions ahead of time. All right, so we've run through the roof. Boom, you're done. You don't have to do anything more. Get out an expert. Make sure they're a licensed roofer, okay? Here's the rest of the exterior. It's going to be broken down. So now we're off the roof, and we're looking at the rest of the exterior. Porches, decks, steps, patios, balconies, anything that's in here. Spindles, climbable. What the heck does that mean? Again, condition, if there's a condition here that says anything but serviceable, then you need to read it, okay? There were horizontal railings installed on the deck at the time of the inspection. This is going to be a good example of something that you're going to say, oh, not a big deal. Now, I don't want to underplay the fact that we don't want kids climbing up on balusters or in a horizontal direction because they act like ladders, as he put here. Okay, for small kids, my kids would climb on them for sure and jump off of them. That's a parenting issue. That is not a structure or water management issue because, again, we're top down, outside in, okay? So if you think your kids are going to be the kind of kids that will climb up the horizontal railings and jump off from the second story immediately, then you should probably have that remedied by a qualified deck professional before you buy the home. Otherwise, we can skip right through that, okay? Electrical, big deal. Electrical starts on the outside and works its way in. Condition, breaker, bridge, missing. Okay, it doesn't say serviceable here. What does that mean? That means you better read it. So the dishwasher disposal are two separate electrical circuits at the electrical distribution panel. However, they share one electrical outlet under the kitchen sink. Therefore, since this is the case, the 15 amp circuit controlling these circuits require that they are bridged together at the electrical distribution panel. Recommend repairs by a qualified electrical professional. What the hell did I just say to you? What that means is call a licensed electrician. Safety, repair. This is a minor issue from my point of view, but for someone that is looking to negotiate a deal, i.e. you and your realtor, you need to get a price on this, okay? So again, it's a big deal electrical issue. Remember we talked about mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and roof. These are the 4 items we're basically going to skim through, and then we want to touch on structure. This is an electrical issue, something that should probably be handled. At the very most, you're just going to have issues with electrical or a constant, what's called a trip or a breaker trip. That's going to be an issue. What this is really saying is that the dishwasher and the disposal need to be on separate breakers, okay? That means one breaker for each of these plugs, all right, at the panel. Get a licensed electrician. Moving on. Distribution system, wiring damaged or exposed. Condition, exposed on walls or ceiling. There was exposed electrical wiring on the west garage wall. Now, I don't know what exposed electrical means. Does that mean it's in conduit? It's installed inside the wall or in electrical conduit is really what code means, which is that metal piping you'll see in a lot of commercial places. This is saying that somehow there was just NM cable, so Romex, or basically electrical that was not protected inside the wall or in metal piping, and that's not good because someone can go ahead and stick a nail through it or screw through it without even paying attention and get shocked. Again, this is a minor issue, but it should be moved inside the wall or into conduit, okay? So you've already got the electrician out here. You want to show him these 2 items and say, I need these fixed or at least a price on them. We're going to continue down distribution. Extension cord used as a permanent wiring, and that's not good because basically what that means is someone's used an extension cord to continue running electrical that should, again, be in a conduit or inside the wall. I've seen this so many times, more than you guys would even begin to imagine. And it's basically just really bad DIY where they splice an extension cord, for their electrical and then run that into another receptacle or an outlet box. And you guys could understand how that could be dumb. So that's got to be fixed. Again, your electrician's coming out, so he's going to want to look through these things. And the easy way to do this is just to say, hey, all these items that are not good, can you look at these and tell me what a price is for them? Okay? These are all negotiating tools because you're going to put the price into the inspection objection and run through there. So, carbon monoxide, that's a safety issue. They were not installed at the time of inspection. You have to have those per building code. Super easy to do. Probably not something you even want to kind of force into an inspection objection if you're having trouble negotiating. These are super cheap. You can install them yourself. You do have to have them. But if they're not in there, then go ahead and just say, hey, I'd like those added before closing. Usually that's a super easy thing you can get negotiated in the inspection objection. Okay, now we're into the heating and cooling aspect. That's the mechanical part of the MEP, okay? Gas furnace, old. Okay, you know what? If it says simply old, you got to negotiate for a new HVAC system. So this furnace was 42 years old at the time of inspection. That's insane because that's like twice the life. Hey, good for this furnace, by the way, for running 42 years, okay? That's impressive. I know that's like twice as old as a lot of the people watching this video right now. So that's really impressive. But it's time to go. You actually should negotiate in this case for a new HVAC system. You need a new furnace. You're looking at $3,000 to $4,000 right off the top of my head, and it depends on the system, but that needs to be an inspection objection. So air conditioning and furnaces, if they're at that point where it just simply says old, put that in the inspection objection. That's got to be in there. Fireplace, not functional. Well, who cares? If you're not going to use it, just make sure that it's not gas that's leaking. In this, it says electrical fireplace in living room did not respond. I think I actually remember this house, and this was a newer electric fireplace, and I think it had a limit switch that had an issue. It was just added in during the remodel, and again, if it's electrical, don't worry about it. Skip right through it. Unless there's a shock issue or there's some sort of short that's the home inspector has found. It just says system inoperative. Electrical fireplaces don't put a lot of heat out, so clearly this is not heating that space. Space heater, electrical receptacles above heaters, that's a big no-no, but that's found a lot in older homes. Again, that's a smaller issue, but you want to make sure that the panel itself is equipped to deal with any sort of arc faulting and ground faulting, and if it is, then this will be remedied. I don't want to poo-poo any of the stuff that's in here really, but I'm talking about how to read this inspection report to your advantage to get the right price for the house and make sure you're buying a house that's not a lemon that needs a ton of work. This is not a big deal, but it should probably be taken care of at some point. Either the baseboard heaters need to go or the receptacles need to get moved. That's a minor issue. I wouldn't worry about that as much. Cooling, heating, air conditioning, evaporative cooler, rust. Damage to equipment. All we want to find here is, all right, is it working? Evaporative coolers here in Colorado are more popular than you think. It's dry as hell here. We run these in the summertime in lieu of an AC unit because they actually are very proficient for cooling rooms and actually sections of homes. And it actually brings moisture back into the house. Now, you don't want a ton of moisture brought into your home, but when it becomes super dry towards mid to end of summer here, they're lovely to have, and they're way more efficient than pumping a bunch of forced air, cool air into your house. And they're nice to have, but if it also has an air conditioner and this only says rust, just get it cleaned. Not a big deal. Water heater. Okay, so now we're in the P part, plumbing of the MEPs. Water heater, gas burner venting. Okay, this is a big deal with gas appliances. You don't want off-gassing to happen. So it produces combustion. So products of combustion is what's setting here. Spillage or backdraft at the draft hood. What that means is there's actual backdrafting happening at that metal pipe, which means it's an older unit. Well, not even older because people still install these with gravity-fed combustion air. But what that means is it's got that little pipe above the heater, and it's just taking the combustion from the heater because it's gas and letting it feed up as it does through the pipe and then through the roof itself and then out through the home without coming back into the home. Breathing these gases, over and over again, day after day, is not good for anything, including the house. So that would require either a mechanical contractor or a plumber to come out and just verify. A lot of times, home inspectors will see this or find this with one of their devices, and their device sucks. So keep that in mind. It may not work, or they don't know how to read that. So even though this could be inaccurate, you want to have this assessed. Most times, it's super cheap if it's got a high reading on it, or if it really is creating that combustion back into the home at a high level, then the water heater is going out and it needs to be replaced, okay? So the flue vent assembly could be leaking, yes, but more likely if this is correct and it's as bad as it's probably saying in here, the water heater needs to go. You're looking at $800 to $1,000. And again, I don't know the situation of this house. If you could do a power vented water heater or not, that's for the plumber to assess to see if there's room. Okay, waste plumbing, drain piping. We got to make sure the gravity feeds the poop and pee out of here. So if it says poor slope, then you need to have that scoped. And that should be part of your home inspection, and that can determine if there is poor slope. Sewage entering the house, looks like he did his own scope or assessment. So what he's saying is we've got negative slope coming back into the house, and your poop is not getting out to the city to go away from your home. It's actually starting to crawl back into your house. Obviously, that's bad. Assess that with a scope, and if sewer needs to be attended to, could be a big number. So confirm that with a recording or a video, a scope of your main system of sewer, okay? Okay, moving on. Waste plumbing venting issues continues. Condition missing. Bar sink line appear to be missing the Studer air admittance valve, so the Studer vent is missing. What the heck is a Studer vent? You guys have no idea? Some of you may. The purpose, if you're a home inspector and you're a good one, you're going to write down what you're explaining here in the first sentence. Allows air to enter the plumbing, drainage, waste, and vent system. Well, it's what it is the vent. The vent allows air to move sewer gases through the sewer system, okay? And that also helps to move the water with it, okay? You need to have a vent on every fixture, ideally. That is what is required now in 2020. As a home builder, we make sure that we do that to prevent sewer gases from entering the house, and also to help make sure that everything flows through drains and out of the house. If they don't have vents on a fixture, that's usually a red flag, okay? Again, this condition says missing. I would have this, and this is a simple one, I would have a Studer vent added here. Again, when you have your plumber assess the cost, just say, I'm concerned with this, okay? If he's already looking through his section, and again, the simplified version of all this is if you find issues in one of the MEP categories or the roofing category or the structural category, you have someone come out, and it always says qualified in these reports, which drives me nuts. Make sure they're licensed, because I can really subjectively tell you who qualified is versus who's licensed. Big difference, okay? Make sure this is a licensed professional in the trade, not qualified. He's going to be reading through that. He's going to say, oh, I'll go look at the bar sink. Yep, sure enough, there's no Studer vent. I'll charge you X for it. Again, pretty minor, but that's something that you want to have taken care of, because that's going to cause problems. On the very minor end, the sink backs up. On the major end, the house smells like you know what. So, which causes bigger issues. Your plumber will be looking at this and deciding the cost for that. That's something, again, it's one of the MEPs, so you want to put that in the inspection objection, okay? Fixtures, faucets, world bath pump. A lot of this stuff, I will tell you, this is up to you. And there's no pump access, meaning in a Whirlpool bathtub, I'm assuming this is in the master, there was no way to get to the service access for the pump itself. It was probably, a new tub deck was built and tiled over, and they never allowed for an access panel to get in there to service the pump and the electrical, which is pretty common, sadly. However, they're also unsightly when you're trying to make that happen. So there's ways around doing that, but I'm not going to get into that. The main issue here is, do you need to get to the pump? Yes. Is this something that's going to cause a deal to be killed? Most likely no. Is it a safety issue? No. If the pump goes out, the pump goes out. You don't have a whirlpool tub. So let it go. Okay, fixtures, faucets, inoperative, hose bib. Okay, that's what's outside. These are the fixtures that you hook up your hoses to be able to wash your cars. You want to make sure they're not leaking and they're not broken. This says inoperative. I don't know what that means. I'm going to have to read it real quick. Front exterior inoperative at the time of inspection. Other hose bibs were operational at the time of inspection. Guess what that probably means when it says further evaluation? You can do this yourself. Find where the shutoff valve is, because hose bibs here in Colorado, we have to shut them off in the wintertime, frost guard or not, because otherwise the pipe can freeze and we have bigger issues, which means leaking in the house. Okay, so if it's inoperative, probably a minor thing, most likely just never was turned back on. I don't remember the time of the date on this home inspection. Could have very well been in the wintertime. So if the other ones are operable, that could be a bigger issue if it's the winter. But again, this is a minor thing. As long as you didn't find any leaks, you don't really need to address that right away, but you need to figure out why it's not working. That's usually a pretty easy thing to do. Windows, now we're in the interior all the way through. If it says water leaks, I'm concerned with it. If it says inoperable, it's a minor thing. It has to do with being able to open and close windows. The only time I would be concerned is when there are inoperable windows in bedrooms, especially in the basement, because of fire code issues. You don't want a child to be stuck in a room and not be able to get out for any sort of reason. If that window doesn't work, you better replace it or fix it at the very least. So if it's leaking water, that leads to our fun word mold. And eventually that can be a problem. It depends on how long this water was leaking. Depends on how new the window was. Cracked windows can crack further. When it says glazing here, by the way, that just refers to the glass itself. Okay, it's the type of glass. So glazing is another fancy word for glass. Okay. Numerous windows in the home that had cracked glass at the time of inspection. Anytime they say numerous, here's another thing to keep in mind. Numerous for a home inspector is more than one. Just keep that in mind. So this could literally have been two windows on the same side of the house. Maybe some kid shot a BB through it. I don't know. Really, the bigger issue is below it where it says lost seal on double or triple glazing. Wow, there were some triple glazed windows in here. That's pretty cool. That just means there's the panes are separated by some sort of gas. Usually it's argon, but it could be anything that's helping for insulation purposes and sound. Once that's gone, the window has failed, it will leak, and that's probably what's happening here. What I take away from this is old windows eventually should be replaced, okay? Don't really, unless you want to negotiate it, nothing else is bad with the inspection report. You don't really want to negotiate too much on this end in this market. In a different market, yeah, you could push for that. Hardware's missing on some windows. Again, that could mean that the windows were not working. Recommend having this hardware repaired or replaced by window professional. The backside of the locking mechanism at the time of inspection looks like it was not working. So if you want to lock your windows and that's a security issue, keep that in mind. Sometimes that can be very easily replaced or fixed depending on the window itself. These, again, we're back to the easy to climb balusters. Whoops, get out of there. Okay. So the baluster is basically the little tiny rails that go up and down. Generally, this one had horizontal railings installed, which means it was a really modern looking, remodeled look. Again, if you're really concerned that your kids are going to climb them, then be a parent and tell them stay the hell off. As far as what I'm concerned with, are they broken? And will they withstand force for someone going up and down the stairs? That's to be assessed by the home inspector. I don't see anything in there, so it should be good otherwise. Man door to garage. Well, I love that term, man door, because no women go into garages, right? That's just the access door outside that gets into the garage, so you don't have to enter the house to get in it. No self-closer. That's a bigger issue for carbon monoxide. Basically, when you come into the home and you park your car in the garage, it's going to off-gas for a while, and the door that separates the garage from the home has a self-closing mechanism on it.
And what that does is close the door for you, because apparently everyone forgets to close the door after they walk into the house for some reason. Literally, this is why this is required by code. And home inspectors, this is one of the things they get giddy on trying to find, because it's something they can mark up. Generally, you can replace just one hinge with a self-closing hinge, and that is remedied. My more important concern is the fire rated value of the door. It needs to be a 1 hour minimum fire rating. Otherwise, carbon monoxide can still leak into the home. So you want to make sure that is assessed. And if he doesn't have it in here, call the home inspector and ask him. Or if you're there when he's assessing it, ask him if it's a fire rated door. If he can't tell you, like we talked about at the beginning of this video, that means he doesn't have a well-versed construction background, and he's probably not going to do the greatest job on the home inspection. So maybe a sign that you need to start calling other people in after the home inspection is done, okay? Self-closer, easy remedy. You don't necessarily even have to put that into the inspection objection. Just make sure you close your door when you get into your home. As a home builder, that's a big no-no, but as a home inspector and as a buyer reading a home inspection report, that's minor in the realm of what we're talking about. No step into the house from the garage floor. Okay, as a home builder, again, that's pretty stupid to not do it. But as a buyer, very minor, move on. Appliances, no vent cover. The dryer vent did not have a cover installed at the rear exterior. Guess what? That's going to throw lint all over the back of your laundry room. Really simple. Go out and get one at Home Depot. Put it on there, make sure it's hooked up to the exterior vent to the house. Otherwise, you're just going to have a giant mess in your laundry room. Okay, so we've run through everything in here he's picked out. This is a really short home inspection report. I would, again, be a little bit wary. There's only 8 pages in here, and this is pretty big font. Again, not the greatest, but it is what it is. It's an example that I decided to pull because of the house itself. After that section, you're going to have pictures and descriptions, and this is what we're getting into now. He's going to show you what he talked about, or she, at the beginning of the report. Arrows, circles, explanations of the things that they found, visuals, especially on the roof. These are good things to have, okay? There's going to be a lot of other little things in here that they didn't talk about in the report that will be noted in these basically detailed pictures at the end of the report. So there's the balusters we're talking about. This is actually a terrible picture because these should not be on the outside of the deck railing. Think about it. If you're sitting on the inside of this and you're pushing out and they're attached from the outside, well, that lateral force from that person's body is not going to be resisted as great as if it was on the inside of the guard, right? So these should all be set on the inside of a deck. Sorry, that's just one thing I'm calling out as a builder. It drives me nuts. But they're talking about code here, spacing, size, and then what should actually be done to prevent climbing. He just basically clipped a picture from the internet, sadly, and the rails he was talking about are actually going left to right in this picture, not up and down, to create a ladder. And there you go, right here. See that? Very modern look, but yeah, in theory, a kid could use that as a ladder to climb up here and eventually fall off. It's code can be either way as long as the spacing is correct. It's just different. So again, be a parent. Porous materials. So they're talking about the water. This is again water management, outside in kind of stuff. Really taking away from this, the biggest thing you want to do on something like this is. And this is a detail from the internet. He doesn't really know what he's talking about here. That's why he put it in. It looks professional. But you want to make sure you don't have any foliage up against the house. Okay. So plants, trees, stuff like that, really close that need water. You're trying to keep water from being drained back to the foundation. You want slope away from the house is what's being shown here. And you don't want a bunch of stuff being watered. We have a lot of crazy soils here in Colorado. Other places have the same kind of thing, that clay soil is bad. So this is basically how you build a home in layman's terms for structure and drainage. But he's talking about negative slope on the house. Sprinkler right next to the house. That's an interesting detail in itself. The head should probably be coming from the outside to this way. They probably did that so they didn't hit the house. But Keep an eye on the water stuff. That's a big deal. Water management is definitely something to keep in mind when you're reading these reports. Okay, so then we're going through the rest of the recommendations, the pictures in here. Sorry, I'm going to kind of scroll through this, but this is basically what you want to do. So is anything in here that he found or she found that you're going to have a licensed professional come out and look at, these are the notes they can look at to reference when they visit the property for you, okay? The descriptions and the pictures in here are basically what they'll look at even before they come out. A lot of times, those trades and those contractors can look at this report if you tell them where to go, and they can give you an estimate over the phone or via email without having to come out and look at the house if the pictures are detailed enough. And then you have the negotiating tools necessary to put into the inspection objection and make sure that you get this thing done, or you can walk away from it if there's too much to deal with. I'm just going to scroll through this real quick. This is just, again, showing all the things that he called out, and I'm saying he because that's who it was, called out in the report earlier, and now you get to visualize what those things were about, okay? And then it'll have details of all the fixtures and appliances in here, okay? That's in a crawl space. That is an old furnace. That's impressive. Holy cow. Yeah, that's old. Okay, there's the fireplace. Yeah, see, I was right. It was remodeled. They stuck it in there. Anyway, so guys, that's basically how you run through a report. You're looking for those keywords that we talked about. You don't have to know a ton about it, but you need to know what you're looking for and how to get through it efficiently without reading all this 19 times and then saying, I still have no idea what I just read. Get to the part where you say, we got a problem, the condition doesn't say serviceable, we need to recommend a who, and he'll tell you in here, or she'll tell you in here, okay? Licensed, not qualified, and make sure you go outside in, top down. Your key components are going to be roof, structure, and then the MEPs, mechanical, electrical, plumbing. After that, it's going to be really based on what you can get for the home and what issues you're going to deal with versus what issues are really safety, okay? That's, I would say, my Cliff's Notes version of how to get through one of these home reports. Okay.
All right, that does it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching how to better utilize an inspection report. And as you watch this video, you're going to realize you can use it to better your advantage in negotiating the deal, getting the right price on the property, and in some cases, if you need to walk away from the contract, you have the ability to do so by understanding what to look for in these reports. Hopefully that helps you guys out. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the channels below here. Hit the bell for notifications so you're notified instantly when those videos come out. I appreciate it. Make sure you like the video and leave comments down below. I love reading those comments. You can ask me questions there as well. If you guys are looking for a mortgage or a refi, make sure you hit up Josh Messiah at Lending Tips. You can follow him on Instagram. coltrealestate@gmail.com is his email. Go contact him there. He has a vast array of people that can help you guys out with any of that stuff on the lending side. Make sure you check out the podcast, Built by Baileys, as well. We're on Apple and Spotify. Just finished episode 9 a few weeks ago, gearing up to do episode 10. We talk about a lot of crazy stuff in there. Real estate construction, world views. It's loosey-goosey, but it's a lot of fun. Enjoy doing it. Make sure you follow me on Instagram as well, at Shane Bailey Builder. And if you need to email me, Shane@BaileyCustomHome.com is the best way to get a hold of me. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Looking forward to the next one. And until next time, keep building.